All right. Hello, everyone. How's it going? This is immigration attorney Moumita. I'm coming to you live to talk to you about immigration and to see the questions that you may have on your mind tonight. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. My name is Moumita Rahman, and I have been an immigration attorney for the past 14 years, and it is my pleasure to do the work that I do because I believe that immigrants make America great already. And today I actually want to wish you early un Dia de Madres and a happy Mother's Day to all of my mothers out there who are watching, immigrant moms. You make this world go round. So let's go ahead and answer some questions. And today, the topic that I want to start out with is, have you been told by another lawyer that your VAWA case is not good, that they can't help you with your case because you don't have a police report or because you don't have a medical exam? Let's talk about that right now, because I can't tell you how many clients that have come to me that have told me that other lawyers have told them that their case is not good because they don't have a police or medical report. So how important are these things, and do you really need to have these to file for VAWA? And before I go any further, if you need to contact us for an appointment, call us at 212-248-7907 to make an appointment for a case evaluation if you are in this situation, okay? All right, so let's get down to it. Do you need to have a police report or a medical exam to file for VAWA? And the answer is no. You absolutely do not need a police report. You do not need a medical exam to file for VAWA, and you can win your case without any of these things. And that is because for VAWA, you don't even need to have physical abuse to qualify or to win your case. And recently on Instagram, we put up a little poll where we asked our viewers, do you need to have physical abuse or can you win VAWA on emotional abuse? And many people selected that you need to have physical abuse. And I do want to let you know that this is not true. You can win your VAWA case without any sort of physical abuse, because the law says that you can do VAWA based upon battery or extreme cruelty. It's either one or the other, which means that you do not need to have police reports or medical exams. And if you have been told by other lawyers, particularly other lawyers who you went to for help, and they told you that you could not file or that you would not win because you didn't have a police report or a medical exam, please get another case evaluation. Please have another consultation. You don't want to be living in without hope for so many more years. I can't tell you how many people I have found out were told this and they lost hope and they never took any action on their situations because a lawyer told them so. Now, lawyers are, we have opinions, but what I can tell you is that this is not just an opinion, this is fact. It is fact that you do not need a police report or medical exam because you do not need to have physical injuries at all to qualify for VAWA. And emotional abuse, what is emotional abuse? People have a really hard time understanding it. So emotional abuse will basically consist of any time your US citizen or green card holding spouse will belittle you, where they mock you, where they insult you, where they scream at you, where they call you names and curse you out, where they gaslight you and tell you that you're crazy and tell you that you're wrong and that you're always making a big deal out of things and that you're too sensitive. When your spouse plays mind games with you and you are constantly questioning yourself, you're constantly with low self-esteem and you think that you're not good enough, these are the things that are created from emotional abuse, okay? And this counts for VAWA, and we have gotten approved for cases with just emotional abuse, okay? So call us at 212-248-7907, all right? And one more thing that I do want to say is that if you are a mom who is filing for a VAWA and you have kids, this is not just for moms. If you are a parent who is filing for VAWA and you have kids underneath 21, when you get VAWA, your kids get protection as well. And if your kids are inside the United States, then frequently they can file for a green card at the same time that you do. And if your kids are outside the United States, then after you get approved for VAWA, you can bring them in through an additional process. So it is possible. And when you file for a VAWA as a spouse of a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, then you also get the power to file for your children underneath 21 as well, okay? Very important factor, because I know that so many of you come to this country. It's not just for yourselves, it's really for your families and for your kids. And then you might find yourselves trapped in these abusive marriages, in these bad situations where your spouse is just controlling you, hurting you, and belittling you, telling you that you're not a good mom, telling you that you don't know any better. And then you can't, sometimes you marry somebody who promises to help you bring your kids. And then once you're here, they tell you, no, I'm not going to help them anymore. I'm not going to bring your kids. I don't want your kids to come live here. That is simply not fair, okay? And VAWA is a way for us to help with many of those situations. So to find out if you qualify, call us at 212-248-7907. Okay, let's go ahead and answer some questions. Thank you to everyone who is joining me. Jarlin Lopez, realtor, an I-751 waiver, how long does it take, and do they take my license until the price is completed? Jarlin, when you file for an I-751 waiver, the whole process can take anywhere from 2 years to 4 years, depending on if you need an interview for your case. And a lot of times what happens is when you file your I-751 application, your green card is expired. That's why you have to file this I-751. When you have an I-751 filed, you get an automatic letter that is a 4-year extension of your green card. So even though your card is expired, you get a physical letter, a letter that looks, kind of like this. You get this from immigration in the mail, and it's a green letter, and it gives you a 4-year automatic extension. So you can take this to most DMVs and get a renewal of your driver's license. You can also get an appointment with the USCIS to get your passport stamped if you lose that letter, okay? Do VAWA cases apply to parents and children, from Teresa Joseph? Teresa Joseph, great question. VAWA applies to spouses, parents, and children underneath 21. So VAWA for spouses, I talk about all the time, which is where you're married to a US citizen or to a green card holder and you suffer abuse in your marriage, whether it's emotional abuse or physical abuse. Now, VAWA is also available to parents of US citizens. If your child is at least 21 years old and your spouse, your son or your daughter is constantly, emotionally abusing you, taking advantage of you, hurting you physically sometimes, or getting in trouble all the time, then this may also qualify for VAWA, okay? And also, if you have a child who's under 21 and they have a parent who's a U.S. citizen who has also hurt the child, then that child can also qualify for VAWA, okay? So there are various ways that we can use VAWA to help protect people and help them get a green card. There's always one U.S. citizen involved, okay? So call us 212-248-7907. Bibi, I'm a VAWA recipient. I did not have to prove physical abuse. I did have messages from my husband showing abuse and control. Absolutely, Bibi. See, this is exactly why I wish more people knew that sometimes this is all that you need to show. You don't need to go, you don't need to show all these things. I've actually had people ask me, hey, should I go get a police report? Don't manufacture, don't create, fake evidence in your VAWA case. People don't realize that usually what you have is enough, okay? How hard is it to win VAWA with a DWI with a minor in the car from Tushar? Tushar, I think it's going to depend on, frequently a DUI with a minor in the car. Really what it depends on is what is the final outcome of the charge, what happened at the end of the day when you got your DUI. And then once you have that certificate of disposition from the court, then we can analyze it. Now, a VAWA with a DUI with a minor in the car is not one of the 12 offenses that are a conditional bar to VAWA. But, depending on when it happened, how many times you got a DUI, that may be a problem for your VAWA. So give us a call so we can analyze that case, okay? John Brown is asking me, how safe is it to travel on VAWA advanced parole? John, we have had lots of our VAWA clients who have advanced parole travel on advanced parole and not have a problem. But I always stick firmly to the fact that if you have any sort of criminal history, it is better be safe than sorry, and don't travel on your advanced parole. When you file for citizenship, is it after 3 years of marriage or 3 years from when you had your green card? From Sheila Doe. Sheila Doe, if you are applying for citizenship, based upon the 3-year rule, then you must show that you have been married to a U.S. citizen and living with that U.S. citizen for a continuous 3 years at the time that you filed for citizenship. And also you must show that you have held your green card status for 3 years, okay? Viraj is asking, if my wife does not let me file for a green card, what should I do? Viraj, what you should do is you should give us a call at 212-248-7907. When your spouse does not let you file for a green card, that's a huge red flag. That is a big problem. And it usually means that there's other things that they're not allowing you to do. There's other things that they won't let you do. And it's definitely a number one sign of control and manipulation. It's an abuse of power. It's an abuse of their immigration status as a citizen over you. And if it's happening to you where your spouse is not letting you file, or they won't let you file, or they won't help you file for a green card, even though you can, then that means that you should explore your options and see if you qualify for VAWA, okay? 212-248-7907. MHZ versatile, I'm going through this right now. I'm sorry to hear that. Just know that hope is not lost, okay? Does VAWA apply for abuse from a job from Mejias? Mejias, oh, hi. I think I haven't seen you in a long time. Mejias 2837. So VAWA does not apply when you're working. However, what does apply is the T visa. If you have worked for somebody who is an abusive boss, if your boss has been controlling, abusive, manipulative, they threaten you, and you are scared of your boss, then this is frequently a sign that you may qualify for something called a T visa. And the T visa is a pathway to a green card. And even if you don't have a legal entry, or if you have the permanent bar, or you have other immigration violations, the T visa is a great tool for helping you get legal status without leaving the US. So call us, Mejias, 212-248-7907. Javi or Xavier Beast, about 4 years ago, I got a lower back injury, which I'm still suffering from. The pandemic came and the restaurant closed. Do I still qualify for a T visa? Is it possible? From Javi or Xavier's Beast. Xavier's Beast, if you suffered an injury at your workplace and it was because your boss basically pressured you to do something without safety equipment, or they wouldn't let you go get medical care, or there were other things happening where you just could not help but do this thing that led you to get an injury, that by itself, usually that's a sign that you may qualify for a T visa, especially if your boss basically made you do that, right? Like they pressured you, and even if the workplace closed, or the boss died, or the business is no longer existing, that doesn't mean anything. You can still find out if you're eligible. Okay, so call us, Xavier, 212-248-7907. Can I do VAWA with very minimal proofs, cell phone photos, wedding agreement, and I'm 24 years old? Can I file at 25? From Hayan Biryani. Hayan Biryani, that sounds like some good proof. And you don't need to wait 25 years to do it. My DACA permit expired. Now my wife and I got married. What is the process? From Heriberto Guzman. Heriberto Guzman, if your DACA permit expired, but you and your wife got married, the number one thing that we need to look at to see is, do you have a legal entry into the United States? Now, a lot of our DACA recipients, you may have DACA and you may not have a legal entry into the United States. If you don't have a legal entry to the United States, then your marriage process is going to be a little bit more complicated, because frequently you may need to do a waiver and leave the United States. Now, if you have DACA, then I highly advise you to do advanced parole so that you can get, your passport stamped and use that for a future process with your spouse or a future spouse. It doesn't matter. You don't need to be married right now to do advanced parole. But here's the thing. If you don't have a legal entry and you are married to a U.S. citizen, the number we love to see in our office, whether you qualify for any cases that don't require you to leave the United States, because we only like to do waivers for clients if push comes to shove, because leaving the United States is so scary. You don't know if you're going to be allowed back in when you go to the consulate. Advanced parole is a different story. Don't be so scared about traveling on advanced parole. We've had lots of DACA clients travel that way, but if you are married to a United States citizen and you don't have a legal entry and you want to fix your papers without leaving, then here are basically the 3-4 things that we'd like to look at in our office. Number one, we like to see if any of your family members have ever had something called Section 245I adjustment of status. That means that maybe your mom or dad, had some, like, a brother or a sister or a mom or dad or a boss try to file for them in the past before April 30th, 2001. If your parents ever had that, then you might have protection underneath Section 245I. Number two, if your spouse is in the military, then you might be able to do something called military parole in place. Number three, if you are married to somebody who is controlling, jealous, doesn't really want to help you file, always threatens divorce whenever you guys have a fight, threatens to call the police on you, threatens to get you deported. These are some of the things that may mean that you're eligible for VAWA. And the beauty of VAWA is that it does not harm your spouse, and you don't have to get divorced to do VAWA. You don't have to separate. Many people think that you have to get divorced to do VAWA, which is simply not true. Marriages are complicated, okay? Marriages are very complicated, and the government does not require you to be separated or divorced to do VAWA. Number four, if you have ever worked for a boss that has been a racist or abusive or discriminatory boss, then that may mean that you qualify for something called the T visa. And lastly, there's the U visa, which many of you know about, which is if you have been the victim of a crime, and you get a certification from the law enforcement agency, then you may qualify for a U visa. But as we all know, the U visas take like 10 years right now. But if you want to explore one of these options without leaving the US, call us at 212-248-7907. Sandy, thank you for sharing my live. Hi, Nick. Thank you for the hearts. I have a pending I-130. Husband is abusive. Should I file VAWA now or wait to see if my green card comes in the mail? From Jay. That is such a difficult position to be in. If you have filed with your spouse and you are just waiting to see if your case is going to get approved, but you keep on holding on and you keep suffering and you keep going through a great deal of stress and anxiety, should you wait to finish your process or should you file VAWA? That's a question that you have to ask yourself and decide for yourself. However, here is what I would say. If your spouse keeps threatening to cancel your case or they gave you a lot of trouble even filing the I-130, it's usually something that you're going to keep dealing with down the road, and it's not going to get any better. So to me, that means that you should explore your VAWA option. And number two, if you only file the I-130 and not an I-485, that's a problem right there too, because why not? Why hasn't the I-485 been filed? Usually what I see is people either don't qualify to file the I-130 because they have an illegal entry, or their spouse didn't want to file for them. Either way, both mean that it's going to be hard for you to get your green card, and it's going to take many more years to get your green card. So that's another situation where I would say it's much better to explore your option for filing a VAWA, okay? 212-248-7907. Thank you for following. João from Brazil. Bom dia. Do I need to live together for a marriage-based green card? From Yash. Yash, I would say that yes, living together is super important when you're doing a green card case. It is 100% required that you have lived with your spouse for any period of time when you file for VAWA. And if you're filing for a regular marriage case, when you're not living with your spouse, it's actually seen as like a sign of fraud, and it's going to cause you to have a lot of trouble in your case. Oh, Javier. Javier's asking, how long does it take to resend an EAD card from the I-765? They sent it to me at the beginning, but it was lost, and I had to ask again. From Javier. Javier, if this happens to so many people, it's happened to a lot of our clients too, where USCIS sends a work permit, but it gets lost in the mail, and we have to apply again. Now, if your work permit was lost and you have to apply a second time, then it's going to take the same amount of time. But one thing that you can do is you can ask for an expedite of your work permit application to try to shorten that time down. Okay, Javier, good luck. Block to all of you weirdos out there. What is the average wait time for receiving a work permit after filing for a T visa from MAD6? MAD6. If you have filed for a T visa, we are seeing that these cases are taking about 1.5 years to process. So when the T visa is actually approved, that's when you get your work permit. Okay. So if you want to find out more, if you want to apply, call us at 212-248-7907. Can I travel with an I-751 extension letter of 48 months from Danilo? Danilo, yes. When you have filed an I-751 and you get your extension letter, that serves as official government proof that you have an extension of status of your green card, and you can travel with the original of this and your expired green card when you travel internationally. Now, what I do have to say is that I have definitely had lots of some clients board airlines. I recommend that you fly with an American airline because they're used to seeing these letters. I have seen some foreign airlines not let clients board, and then it's a little bit of back and forth while we figure that out. And if you ever lose that letter, Danilo, or it gets lost or expired, you can actually make an appointment with USCIS InfoPass to get a stamp, an I-551 stamp in your passport, okay? Amber, I'm so glad you got it. We didn't get it. I know you were asking, but we actually didn't get your work permit in our office, I think for at least a week or two after you were messaging about it. How long do I have to wait after marriage to apply for VAWA? You can apply for, as soon as you start suffering abuse and having a hard time, there's no minimum time that you have to wait. But I would say whatever feels reasonable to you. Briggy Brown Eyes, how long will it take for my green card to reach me after it's produced? Usually 30 days, I would say. Siham, thank you for the follow. How many times can I travel on my advanced parole from Soraya? Soraya, it depends on whether you have a multiple, if you have a document that says it's valid only for one use, short period of time, then that's the amount of time that you can use it. But majority of people will get at least 1 year for their advanced parole. Nowadays, 5 years if you are getting the 5-year work permit along with the combo card. So you can use that as many times as you need. Does USCIS investigate you in person for VAWA from Hello, Ms. Hernandez? Hello, Ms. Hernandez. No, they're not allowed to investigate you like that. At the interview, sometimes they try to ask you more questions when you're doing your green card. You have to have a lawyer with you at the interview so that they don't try to ask you some inappropriate questions. Excuse me, Ashlyn. Hi, Ashlyn. How are you? My love to you, Ashlyn. Happy Mother's Day in advance, Ashlyn. Nick, thank you for all those roses. Is it safe to travel on travel documents? I sponsored my wife. She's here on F1, never go to college, from Mohammed Omer. You may be able to travel on travel document, but you should always discuss that with your lawyer before you go. Can men apply through VAWA if they're being emotionally abused? From Priscilla. Priscilla, yes, absolutely. It's a common misconception that people think that only women qualify for VAWA. It is not true. At least 50% of our clients are male clients, and at least 50% of our approvals are male approvals as well. So it works for both men and women. It works whether you're in a same-sex relationship or you're in a traditional relationship. You can qualify for VAWA. Nick, thank you so much for all those roses. I have to see, are you asking me questions, Nick? I didn't see anything, but thank you, Nick. Thank you so much. They sent the green card to me, but it's somebody else's picture and all my details. Oh my God, sorry. I started to laugh at that deep, but it just shows you that the government makes lots of silly mistakes themselves. So anyway, you have to send it back for correction, and it could take up to 6 months for that. How long will VAWA take to let me know? From Ragvinder. Ragvinder, thank you for the roses. VAWA itself will take about 3 years, 2.5 to 3 years to process. And then that's not including the green card application time, which can take another 6 months to a year. When did you begin your job? From Sadontage. I became a lawyer about 14 years ago. How long will I get the receipt after giving the fingerprints? From MD Aziz. You should be getting your receipt before you do your fingerprints. Tushar is asking, first appointment. My husband, priceless Lisa, my husband did not add my name to any documents or evidence. We live together. Can I apply for VAWA? I'm in a shelter now due to the abuse. Priceless Lisa, yes, you can. Look, there's a reason why VAWA, there's a standard of evidence in VAWA that is more lenient than in other immigration cases. It is called the any credible evidence standard, because the government knows that for the majority of clients, it's almost impossible to have evidence because your spouse controls everything, right? So you may not have any evidence at all. And that by itself, your case can't get disqualified because of that. They have to accept your affidavit as truth and your affidavit as evidence. And if you're in a shelter because of the abuse, then you've gone through a lot. So you don't let the fact that you don't have documents together with your husband's name on it discourage you from filing priceless Lisa, okay? Now, we'd love to help you apply. If you can't afford legal fees, there are definitely lots of agencies out there that do help. And I have lots of free resources on YouTube. Priceless Lisa, I have videos up on YouTube about how to write a good, strong VAWA affidavit. At the end of the day, your VAWA affidavit is the most important thing in your case, okay? All right. That's all the time that I have for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry I could not answer everyone's question. But if you want an appointment with our office, call us at 212-248-7907. We hope to hear from you soon. Thank you. God bless. Stay strong, and happy early Mother's Day to everybody.